welcome to another House of Wisdom Lightest and Best video where we look at the lightest and best offerings from a variety of manufacturers. And you know how I love the Andre Thorburn, Andre von Heerden A2 series. They have a new knife out and it's the M45. The A5 I've already reviewed on this channel, and I'll put a flag here so that you can go back and look at it a little later. The A5 was the smallest of the A2 series, and this is the second smallest, the M45. The A2 series is named A1 through A7, and they skipped A2 because it might have been confusing. But this is the first one that they use an M to describe, and I really don't know why that is, but it's interesting. Let's talk about the knife specifications. The blade length is 3.25 inches. The handle length is 4 3/8 inches, and giving a total knife length of 7.5 inches. The weight of the knife is 3.8 ounces. I have a variety of knives for comparison. First, I want to compare its little brother, the A5. This is in carbon fiber also. You can tell the A5 has a little smaller blade. It's a 3-inch blade, and this is a 3 1/8 inch blade. And we have the Hinder XM18 in 3-inch, which is a little smaller also. We have the Benchmade 940 Osborne, which is a bit larger. We have the Spyderco Delica, a little smaller. We have the Riate Wave, which is a little larger. And we have the Brian TIE Fighter Small, which is smaller. I'm going to be now doing an overview of the A2 series of Andre Thorburn and Andre von Heerden. If you would like to pass on this and just listen to the review on the M45, please fast forward to this time here. Okay, for those that wanted to stay and wanted to learn a little bit more about the A2 series, we're going to be reviewing every knife in the A2 series. We'll start with the A1, which is a 3 3/4 inch blade knife. It is a front flipper. And Boker imitated this and got a license to do it, and they made the Boker A2 series. Before you sits the A2 Mini, which is a knife with a blade length of 2.89 inches. They also made a Boker A2, the regular one, which has a larger blade at 3.625 inches. And they're based on the A1 model. It's a front flipper, and I'll show you how it works. Basically, it has some jimping with a front tab. Note that there's not a conventional flipper tab. You reach over with your finger and you open it like that. The A2 series, at least the Boker, you can't slowly open it like this because you run out of jimping and it just doesn't work very well. It's best designed to reach over with your forefinger and flip it out like that. There are front flippers. The South Africans like to call them lip flippers. This is an example of the Berger EXK that has a lip here, but the lip is generated so that you can open it slowly like that. And really, it's hard to reach all the way over here and front flip it because it's just the physics doesn't work well. It's more designed to be a slow front or a quick front flipper like that. So there are different models. The A2 Mini is one where the jimping is placed posteriorly enough that you can just reach over and flip it like that. So that's what the A1 is about. The A3 is a knife that is equally as long, 3 3/4 inch blade. It is distinctive in that it has a double row IKBS bearing system as one of the smoothest free-falling blades you'll come across. There are 5 oblique grooves cut on the bottom back of the handle, and there's also been an A3 Mini released, which is a 3-inch blade, smaller version of the A3. The A4 is a smaller knife. It's 3 1/4 inch length blade. It looks like the A1, except it has a conventional flipper and is smaller. The A1 has a 3 3/4 inch blade. The A4 has a 3 1/4 inch blade plus the conventional flipper rather than the lip flipper. Moving to the A5 is what we're looking at today. It's a 3-inch blade and is the smallest version in the A² series. and it is a version of the A3 except it has single row bearings. So morphologically, it's an A3 except instead of having a 3 3/4 inch blade, it has a 3-inch blade, and it has a single row IKBS rather than the double row IKBS. The A6 is a 3.5-inch blade, and it has the leaf-shaped blade. A variety of blades are used on some of the other flippers. There are some that just use one type of blade, and the A6 is one of those. And then the A7, which you see pictured before you here, comes in a variety of blade shapes, which are about 3.5 inches long and has a more straight, non-contoured handle. So there are 6 basic models, A1 through A7. They avoided using the A2 because it might have been confusing, A squared A2. So anyway, there's A1 through A7, but there are 6 basic models, and then there are some sub-models within those basic models. For example, the A3 Mini and the A3 line. It's much like hospitals. If you have a 15-story hospital with 15 floors, there usually are only 14 floors because they skipped the 13th floor because of superstitious people. Well, it's done for different reasons, but basically there's 6 different models in the A2 series. Now that we're back from that review, we'll talk about the blade of the M45. It's made of RWL 34 steel. It has a hand-rubbed satin finish and a drop point blade. There is swedging at the posterior spine of the blade and jimping on the proximal aspect. The jimping that Andre Thorburn and Andre von Heerden do is interesting. Look at how smooth the top is. And so when you run your finger across it, it's completely smooth, but when you press it to get traction, it really grips the skin of your finger. So it's both smooth and grippy. It's a really beautiful jimping pattern. The method of deployment of the knife is by flipper. It flips out really fast and really strong. They have a beautiful action on this knife. The handle is a marbled carbon fiber, and I just want you to see how the light dances on that thing. It's absolutely beautiful. My A5 has a different type of carbon fiber, but I really like this marbled carbon fiber. The liners are bronze titanium, and look how subtle and beautiful they are, and it has a back spacer that's a full back spacer made of G10. The pivot on the blade is IKBS bearings, and it flips very smoothly. It's disassembled with a Torx bit, which I appreciate because there's a tendency of South African makers to use proprietary pivots. The lock on the knife is a liner lock, and it locks up perfectly and beautiful. It's perfectly centered, no blade play whatsoever. The pocket clip is a spring clip mounted on a G10 pillar with 5 decorative holes just for aesthetic value. The screws are flushed mount, good job, so they're perfectly smooth with the surface of the clip. The ergonomics of the knife are great. It feels really good, and it's a large handle, so you have plenty of room even for those people with big hands. The action on the knife is just South African smooth. Flips out fast, and it returns effortlessly with just a little bit of shaking. The signage of the knife is minimal. On the show side, it has the maker's mark, the A2, which is for Andre and Andre. And then on the clip side, it has the IKBS bearing symbol, and those are the only signage for the knife. So what are my impressions of the M45? I really like it. Are there opportunities for improvement? I'm sorry guys, but I really can't see anything that I can criticize about this knife. What do I like about the knife? Wow, everything. I like the high quality materials. They use RWL 34 steel, which is a great steel. They have this marbled carbon fiber for the handle scales. And look at those bronzed anodized titanium liners. Wow, just beautiful. And the action is South African perfect, just like all the Thorburn Van Heerden knives are. And it's beautiful with the satin finish on the blade and the marble carbon fibered handles and the bronzed liners and the G10 back spacers. Even the clip side, which is supposed to be the ugly side of the knife, look, it has these 5 decorative holes and the carbon fiber. It's just a beautiful knife. Wow. So, If you're looking for a beautiful knife with smooth action and perfect fit and finish, then the M45 by Andre Thorburn and Andre von Heerden might be the knife for you. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll see you on the next House of Wisdom, Lightest and Best video.